In the quiet moments of the day, when the world seems to pause, there lies an opportunity for reflection, a chance to delve deeper into the scriptures and uncover the profound truths that resonate through time. Today, we turn our attention to a pivotal moment in Genesis, chapter 3, verses 8 to 13, where the narrative unfolds in the Garden of Eden, a place of innocence now marred by disobedience. As we enter this sacred space, we hear the footsteps of God. It's a sound that evokes familiarity and comfort, yet now it brings fear to Adam and Eve. The text suggests that God could be heard moving about the garden. Some interpretations propose that this could be a pre-incarnate appearance of Christ, while others suggest it may simply be the sound of God's voice. Regardless of how we perceive it, the essence remains the same. It is a call to intimacy, a divine invitation to communion. Yet, in their shame, Adam and Eve choose to hide. Before we continue, just a reminder to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. By doing so, you'll stay connected and up to date with future content. Now, let's continue delving into Genesis chapter 3, verses 8 to 13, and the message God has in store for us. Why would God, in his omniscience, ask, "Where art thou?" This question isn't born from ignorance. Rather, it is a demonstration of respect. God desires for Adam to come forth willingly, to acknowledge his state. However, the intimate bond that once existed between Creator and creation has been fractured. Adam's response reveals the depth of his fear. "I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself." But is this the whole truth? Fear, in this instance, is not merely about physical nakedness. It is a reflection of a deeper spiritual nakedness, an awareness of disobedience and separation from God. The irony is palpable. Adam and Eve sought to cover their physical nakedness with fig leaves, yet they could not hide from the gaze of the Almighty. In their attempt to shield themselves from God, they inadvertently exposed their vulnerability. God's inquiry, "Who told thee that thou wast naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree, whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat?" serves as an invitation to confess, to lay bare their hearts before him. God's questions are not meant to condemn, but to restore, to lead them back to a place of reconciliation. Yet instead of confession, we witness the birth of blame. Adam, in a moment of self-preservation, points to Eve, saying, "The woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat." In this single statement, Adam shifts the responsibility not only onto Eve, but also onto God, implying that it was God's decision to give him the woman that led to his downfall. Eve, in turn, deflects the blame onto the serpent, declaring, "The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat." This exchange illustrates a tragic reversal of God's divine order. Man, who was created to exercise dominion over the animals, now finds himself listening to the serpent. Eve, who was designed to be a helper to Adam, becomes the means through which he falls. Adam, charged with the responsibility of obedience to God, chooses to follow Eve into disobedience. The harmony of creation is disrupted, and the consequences are far-reaching. In moments of temptation, it's all too easy to deflect blame onto others, our circumstances, our upbringing, or even God himself. Yet we must remember that each of us is responsible for our choices. As Paul reminds us in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13, "There hath no temptation taken you but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it." God provides a path to resist temptation, a way to escape the snares that ensnare us. In this moment of reflection, we are called to examine our own lives. Are there areas where we find ourselves blaming others for our disobedience? Are we hiding from God, attempting to cover our shame with fig leaves of excuses? Just as Adam and Eve were invited to come forth, we too are beckoned to step into the light, to confess our shortcomings, and to seek forgiveness. Confession is not merely an admission of guilt. It is an acknowledgement of our need for God's grace. It is a humble recognition that we cannot navigate this life alone. When we confess, we open ourselves to healing and restoration. God is waiting, ready to embrace us with open arms, to remind us that we are not defined by our failures but by His love and mercy. As we conclude this devotional, let us take a moment to pray. Let us ask God for the courage to face our fears, the strength to resist temptation, and the humility to confess our disobedience. May we strive to restore the intimate relationship that was intended from the beginning, one where we walk with God in the cool of the day, unashamed and fully known. In the garden of our hearts, let us cultivate a space where blame gives way to responsibility, where fear transforms into trust, and where the desire to hide is replaced by the longing to be in His presence. Let us remember that while the story of Adam and Eve speaks of failure, it also speaks of hope. A hope that is found in the redemptive work of Christ, who came to restore what was lost. If this message resonates with you, type, "Forgive my sins, Lord Yeshua," in the comments below. This act of asking for forgiveness shows our humility and willing to accept our mistakes. In that simple confession lies the power of transformation.